We'll talk some football with Zach. Zach today is brought to us by a Home Builders Association. Give big this year with the Home for the Holidays raffle. You have a chance to win a beautiful new custom home or a cash prize this holiday season and help make wishes come true for Make-A-Wish kids with critical illnesses. Raffle proceeds benefit Make-A-Wish OKI, which has granted over 22,000 wishes to children facing critical illnesses all across Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana since 1983. This year's house is a custom-built ranch by Petros Homes with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and a 3-car garage. One lucky winner will be announced on December 24th, so get your $100 ticket now. Just visit ahomefortheholidays.org to buy your tickets. That's ahomefortheholidays.org. Terms and conditions apply.
Zach, I know it's an impossible question to answer, but if you just drop Josh Allen onto the Browns right now, what's their record at this moment, you think?
9 or 10 wins.
Yeah. I thought 9, but you see it could be 10.
Yeah, I mean,
even with all the other problems.
With this defense, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The whole Browns blueprint was supposed to be Flacco chucks it deep, right? Throws some picks, but gives you a chance, and you turn it over to your defense to be a closer, right? So, yeah, I mean, what are they? It's 14 games? Yeah, about 9 sounds right in that neighborhood.
And that's it. So when all these talk about we always talk about how many drafts till they turn it around. All that matters, not all that matters, but the most important thing that's going to speed up the process, as bad as the Browns are, whether it's Shedeur or somebody they draft next year, if that person ends up being really good, that's going to turn it around quickly.
Yeah, but let me make one point. The Bills raised Josh Allen the right way.
That's
and the
true.
Browns would not have done that.
That's
right?
100% fair.
Josh Allen, year one, not even year one, well into year 2, when they made the playoffs, was not near the guy that he was, right?
That's right.
He needed to make mistakes. He needed to be coached. He needed to learn. Needed to get better guys around him. And they still kind of failed in getting the best guys around him.
That's true.
He's just hero. I remember sitting with Dustin down at the Senior Bowl, watching these guys in practice.
Yeah.
And Allen would just make these crazy throws. Like, they didn't look real. You know, just the arm strength to the back corner of the end zone. And, like, that's what he does, right?
Is that the best arm strength you've ever seen in a quarterback?
I mean, it's up there. It was for 2 days, right?
Yeah.
But, like, you know, they don't want him to play too much hero ball in the regular season because it's all about January for them. But when he needs to play hero ball, there's nobody better right now doing it.
I was going to start it off with this. I'll just ask you the question. Is it a party foul when Christmas comes to you be taking pajama pictures with your family? Are you taking the pajama pictures in the onesie, sending them to the families after?
My mother-in-law buys everybody pajamas. And if you don't wear them, you don't get dinner.
What, did you see a picture
But
of
the
Zach?
picture's going on social media, Garrett.
Yeah.
I'm not real thrilled about it.
Listen.
But I like that
you've
dinner.
actually seen this. That's where this came from.
No, it's a thing. Like, now there's a whole thing. Like, Tyvis, I know you got the pajama set ready to go. You got the young girls.
We wore the grits last year.
Yeah, see,
my son this morning, we're pulling up to school, and I was driving him to school this morning, and he goes, and I said, why is everybody wearing pajamas? He goes, it's pajama day. I said, oh, you didn't want to wear pajamas? He goes, he dropped he's like, I don't do that, bleep.
I love white kids.
Great story. 2 years ago, the Browns play on Christmas Eve in Houston, the Amari Cooper game. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So to get back that night, we had to fly into Columbus. We landed at like 12:30.
Yeah.
So I get home at like 2:30. So my wife just sends me a text, not, how are you? Is everything done? Are you good? Just don't forget to wear the pajamas.
Yeah, bro, listen, it's a household thing. Listen, my mom, we had a whole argument about it. My brothers had a revolt. They said, under no circumstances, you can do that with your little granddaughter, but we grown men.
Well, I have to disagree because you and your 2 brothers dressing up with like giant feety pajamas would be the greatest picture I'd ever seen in my life. I need to see that picture, and I'm going to beg your parents to do it.
Them pajamas don't come in 8X.
Right.
Hilarious.
I mean, when I think about holidays, I think about James Harrison suplexing that Browns fan on Christmas Eve.
Oh, my gosh.
Or
That's
them
crazy.
being 0-14 or 0-15 and beating
my
the Chargers.
gosh.
Like, when you're in football, like, you don't think about it that
Yeah.
way. Just me.
Is the biggest, let's say, the biggest issue over the past couple of weeks been the loss of Malik Collins?
Well, it's been one of them, which is alarming. But to me, it's the recurring issues with the special teams and the pre-snap penalties and things like that. You know, that's stuff that you can correct. It's stuff that happens to everybody, but it's stuff that has to be corrected. And especially when you already have no margin for error because your line is outmanned, because you just don't have the guys in certain spots. So, like, I am not surprised at all, and we talked about it last week, by how poorly the offense played last week. They were walking into a buzzsaw. The O-line had problems.
Yep.
The Bears had seen Shedeur. The Bears take the ball away. The Browns can't even pretend to run the ball. Like, he's put in a bad spot. He goes out and plays a bad game, right? Makes a couple of good throws. They get caught. One gets dropped. It's an interception instead of a touchdown.
Right.
Or out of bounds at the 1 yard line. Like, they're left so little margin for error because they're just outmanned by everybody they're playing at this point.
What did you think about this? For all I go against Kevin Stefanski, I never really use this against him because for the most part, I do think people play hard or play tough, and they may have mistakes or talent deficiencies, but the energy seemed a little off. It just seemed like they came out there and it was cold, flat, and it didn't have any pop and pizzazz. Maybe it was the weather. Like, it was the first time I thought, like, I don't know, I would say these guys quit, but I just feel like they just didn't have the level of energy to go into a game playing against a playoff team like that. How did you see the energy against
I agree. I think the defense is worn down. I think the offense knows the reality of the situation. I would maybe push back on it being the first time. You're not supposed to be down 2 scores to the Tennessee Titans.
I forgot about that. The prior week, right?
Yeah.
But these guys know, and the defense has been on the field too much. So that to me is what it is. It's not one thing with this team, right? But we've been talking since September about what December was going to look like.
Yeah.
And
here it is.
Here it is.
I want to go back to what Tyvis said about Malik Collins because I've been shocked how poorly they've played. Obviously, they've been worn down by not getting any help from the special teams of the offense pretty much the whole season. But it's it feels like Mason Graham maybe is being exposed a little bit here. I don't know.
He's been playing hurt the last couple of weeks.
Oh, he's hurt, huh?
Yeah. He doesn't practice. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Look, these guys are beat up.
Yeah.
You're playing a bunch of rookies that have never done this before, and there's nothing to play for. I mean, there's individual things to play for, but this is not a team. Still, right? So,
will he sack? Will he break the record against Josh Allen? What say you? He's 1.5.
I think
No. Don't answer because it's a fence rider question.
Oh,
He's
it's
doing
fence rider.
riders with
Okay,
us, so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
an unfair.
Myles is on a tear. It's 8
bad
games in a
job
row.
out of you.
8
Bad
games
job
in a
out
row
of you.
with one.
What's the longest streak? Do you know? Does anybody know?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Most consecutive games with a sack.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Let's see if you can find it.
If he gets to 9, he gets in some elite company. But we could look it up.
If the Browns finish with the number 1 pick in the draft, or would you take Fernando Mendoza?
My thought all along is if you at 1 or 2, you probably have to take a quarterback. If you're at 1, you probably have to. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm not ready to say like Mendoza's knockout or Mendoza's the right guy. But I think given the situation and given what you did last year, and you basically said next year we'll go get our quarterback and start getting out of this, that you would have to with the 1 pick. Unless there was some crazy auction, but even now the yes or no answer to me is a pretty easy yes on that. And we got months to debate it because that's what we'll do.
They're not going to get the
But so many things have to happen for them to get to
They have the
number 1
second
pick.
best odds, though, of getting number 1.
Well, I think they're going to land at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And looks like 2, right?
Right.
The Saints have won games. Next week, the Giants and Raiders play each other. So
the Browns, if they lose out, are guaranteed to be top 3.
But everybody thought, that Tennessee this week was going to be a 3-touchdown underdog to the Chiefs on their redemption tour. And now Mahomes is out for the season, and she races in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
And now that's basically a toss-up game. If Tennessee accidentally wins that game,
have to start Travis Kelce.
That's true. You're right.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at it, and I mean, I'm going on the assumption, and I wouldn't assume. I'm just saying, the premise is Kevin Stefanski is not going to be here next year. What's your thought on whether the Cleveland Browns want to go with a defensive-minded guy or an offensive-minded guy, retread versus young up-and-coming?
Well, I think it's trending young, regardless of offense or defense, Garrett. To me, I want to know answers about culture and setting it and embracing the situation that whoever takes the job is going to be in.
And that's what's tricky. Like, I feel like as in the media, and fans too, because we don't have access to these guys, we always want the hot coordinator. But being a good coordinator doesn't make you a good head coach.
No, but if it's Jesse Minter or Chris Shula or one of these young defensive coordinators and they knock it out and they want the job, and then I don't think you worry about it. Now, certainly, what do you think about the quarterback situation? Who's your coordinator? Who's your quarterback's coach?
Right.
What's your track record with this is certainly a huge question. But I don't think you go in and say, okay, we got 7 candidates, 5 of them want to interview with us, and we're only going to interview 5 offensive guys. Like, I think that would be silly.
Do you think there's a chance that you can't? Obviously, not going to keep both, but if they hire a defensive coach, that Tommy Rees would stay, or that if you hired an offensive coach, Jim Schwartz would stay?
It's all up to the new coach, and it's all up to those guys who are
right. That's true, as it should be.
Speaking of, I've seen they put an article out saying that the Browns are thinking about talking to Bill Belichick.
I would
highly. Who is that from?
No one important, and we're not going to mention who it's from.
It's not a legitimate
It's literally,
source.
it's not from anyone important. we're going to ignore that.
I mean, I would think the Browns would be looking to hire a coach who's
Why would anyone
45
hire
or
Belichick
under.
right now?
Yeah.
I mean, he's like making a mockery of himself.
So
I seen it on ESPN Cleveland.
Speaking of mockeries.
Well,
this guy,
Yeah. Tony, Rizzo will just pull things out of the air.
no, look, I was looking up. It's
Yeah.
an average going back to 2020. I think it's an average of about 7 vacancies a year.
Yeah.
And when I was looking that up the other day, I stumbled onto some lists that are already published
Right.
of coaches.
Yeah.
And you're putting names on lists.
Right.
Like I can't believe after how the year has gone at North Carolina that Belichick would even get an interview. He got interviews last year, didn't he? Or 2 years ago?
Right.
And I can't believe it's even going to happen.
He's old.
Right.
He's embarrassed himself. Like, who wants?
His motivation
Yeah.
would be personal, to get the record.
Right.
You're not coming in here to win right away.
No.
You're coming in here to steady the
Yeah,
ship and try to
right,
win
right.
over 2 and 3 years.
Yeah, that's the.
I can't imagine it would even be considered.
No, Tyvis, you're getting crazy now. Don't listen to ESPN Cleveland. They don't know what they're doing.
let me ask you about this. We take a look at it. I still don't understand what's up with AB. It seems like he's been in the shadows. He hasn't spoken a while. We've gone back to the pendulum swings from, he has a great draft class to, we're in this position because we didn't hit what we were supposed to hit. In terms of if he, say for instance, he's still here, does that change your mindset in the direction that they would look to go in the draft? Or do you think that he has enough cachet to say, okay, if I see a quarterback, I'm going to take him and take this quarterback? But I would think he would have to have a substantial amount of wins next year because he's the last man standing.
Yeah, I wouldn't think he has that cachet, but if they keep him, they would think that. I don't think so, Garrett. I think the construction of this offense is the number one problem. And it doesn't all just stem from the Deshaun Watson mistake. It just doesn't. Now, that's out there, and his quarterback resume is Deshaun Watson and Dylan Gabriel. Don't know how many times we could say that. But the construction and caretaking of this offensive line and the construction of this wide receiver group in terms of helping a young QB or not, just in terms of anything, it's bad. It's poor. Yeah. And it's the second year in a row that the offense is at the bottom in every category and can't get itself out of trouble.
What's the odds that, let's say that they don't take a quarterback next year and they decide to just keep the ones that they have? What's the odds that we see 4 run out on that field again?
Well, given the Browns' history, if he's number 1 or number 2 in the order, the odds would be pretty good. Now, that would be thoroughly embarrassing, and that's something that shouldn't happen because even
what
if he
plays
decent,
well?
Okay, then he's a free agent after the year, and look what you got for him, right? What if he starts 6 games and wins 3 of them? And there's nothing in his track record that says he would play well.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, you talking about Watson?
Yeah.
God.
What if he played? Like I'm saying,
He hasn't played well in 5 years.
But what if he did? What if
Right, he had 3 good starts out of 19.
What if he played? What if he? Let's say next year they keep
All
the
right,
same
so
3 quarterbacks. Deshaun plays the last 4, and they go 4.
I've been putting together this
Yeah.
mental list. I don't know if it'll show up next week or maybe after the season, whatever. Of like, okay, a year from now, who's the Browns quarterback? Right? We're arguing about Shedeur. A year from now, like. Watson doesn't make the top 6 to me.
Yeah.
We talking about his top quarterback?
It's who would like say I did it next week. Say it's next Christmas. Who's the Browns quarterback?
Yeah.
He wouldn't make the top 6 options.
Zach, you don't have to give us all 6 names, but can you give us
I
maybe
was about to
a
guess.
name or 2?
I mean, right
I like
now,
this game.
okay, if I was
Fernando
listing the odds,
Mendoza.
it would be rookie, highly drafted rookie would be the
Right.
favorite.
Yeah.
Shedeur would probably be the second favorite.
Right.
And then it would be, to me, either Mac Jones or a medium drafted rookie. And then you'd get into the other names of like a reclamation project,
Is
a Trey
Gabriel
Lance and
not in
Anthony
the picture?
Richardson, something like that. Then you'd be down into Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson
I
territory.
think it could be Jacoby Brissett over Deshaun
It
Watson.
could be.
He's had a decent year.
It could be. And again, it doesn't make sense to go too far because we don't know who's picking the players. We
Right.
don't know who's coaching the team. And
Yeah.
we don't know what decisions they're going to make. We can be pretty clear it's not going to be Sanders, Gabriel, Watson in the room.
No.
Right?
No.
But 2 of them are likely to be in the room.
You
Somewhat
You
likely.
think they would cut Gabriel or Sanders after
They
9
trade.
years?
I think if you draft,
You can't trade. Anybody
I think
trade
if you
for
trade a
Dylan.
if you draft a
Trade a
quarterback
7
in the
for
first
Dylan,
round,
maybe.
then you trade Sanders. If you draft,
You
a
might
quarterback
have
in the
to.
first round.
I
yeah.
don't think that Shedeur could be your backup here.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
dynamics.
You
But-
either stick. Jason has said all along, and we argue a lot, but on this I agree with him.
No, I agree with him
Shedeur's
too.
either your starter or you trade him.
I agree.
You don't keep him as a backup.
And I think
agree.
over the last couple of weeks, the market has opened up.
Absolutely.
Indy suddenly has a need.
Absolutely.
KC might have a temporary need. And everybody's going to reassess. Unless you're Buffalo, Look, is Matthew Stafford going to play next year if they win the Super Bowl?
That's a good question.
Right? Like the market is totally wide open right now. And you're not going to get Mac Jones for free. I mean, one of the smartest things the Niners have done is trade him or sign him to a 2-year deal. Like they are going to trade, they're going to turn a near minimum contract into a real asset.
As we sat here and talked, it's crazy. And that just dawned on me. We don't know what the hell they about to do. None of them. Like, to be truthful, like if I'm just listening to this, like, it's too many variables. Like, we don't know what Jimmy Haslam thinks of Andrew Berry. We don't know if Kevin Stefanski is back. We don't even know what kind of coach they would pick. We don't know how Andrew Berry feels about Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders. We don't know what the trade value is. We don't know what their evaluation is on Earl Mauldin. It's like it could be 1,000 different mixes of people and parts that we have no clue about.
But that leaves us plenty to talk about here.
Sure does.
Because first we're going to talk about, are they going to fire the coach? They're going to fire the GM. Then if they do either of those things, who are they going to hire to replace them? And then once that's done, we're debating, A, should they take a quarterback? B, if they take a quarterback, who could Did you meet
with Shedeur Sanders yet? What did you think about Shedeur?
So many.
Will they, if they're the second pick and the Giants are the first pick, are they going to have to trade to flip-flop spots with them?
If a decision is long made on the future of the franchise, on making changes in January, then last week just reinforced that decision. Right? Mm-hmm. But like if it's not made, if it's making you waver, then all these options are open. And if you did in your heart of hearts want to fire the coach and keep the GM, then what does he think? And does the owner say you can stay, but only if you find a quarterback next year?
And does Jimmy love Shedeur so much that he could fire everybody and only hire a coach that's willing to go forward with Shedeur?
Who would be the coach that you would hire?
Dion.
I mean, you're going to
interview. That's funny. That's funny.
Am I wrong though?
No, I don't think they. Who knows? With Jimmy,
I don't know. Why would he want to do that? Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, that doesn't seem.
Why would you do that? I'm gonna stay over here and get this money in Colorado, wherever they at, and figure it out.
He's trying to figure that out.
I'm trying to figure it. But I look at it, and there are literally 1,000 different ways you can go. And nobody know. Like I sat here last year and we said, we talked about two people, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, and then we got to draft day. They didn't draft neither one of them, and then came away with Dylan.
Well, and that underscores why it's so early. I believe that for most of the process, Abdul Carter was their number one player, and I believe at the end they were scared away by the injuries, by some of the off-field stuff, and they looked at their options and said, "We're going to go with this." So you just don't know. I know that he was number one for at least part of the process on their board, and that was their thinking. Early in the process, it was we're going to get Cam Ward. Okay, we're not going to get Cam Ward now. Let's backpedal. Let's do it this way. So all of those things play in. And then if there realistically is a Mac Jones, if there realistically is Shedeur's your choice to go forward, that changes the whole outline of everything. What you're thinking in March, what you're thinking in April, and those decisions stack.
Are you a believer in Mac Jones?
No, but I believe it would be. I believe you can make the case right now for this is where we're going. Right. Like we're going to get back to legitimacy. We're going to take the low cost shot on this guy, and then we're going to stack in this order.
Let me ask you: if Kevin is fired, does he get hired and have a job?
I believe he will have opportunities. If I was Kevin, I would keep my money and stay home and do some part-time TV.
Post up.
Yep.
TV.
Post up. Yeah, get that bag.
He ain't gonna say anything.
Well, that's what is part of his.
That's the thing. What we see in front of the microphone is not the real Kevin Stefanski.
That's a great opportunity for him to re-image, repackage, and come off.
Be on the list.
Be on the list, right? You don't want to jump. Listen, I always tell people, you don't want to jump back into them waters quick. Cash them checks, look around, become the hot guy.
Will he keep his house in Cleveland?
No.
I mean, now we're getting into family business. He has kids. He wants it to work out here.
They in school,
if it doesn't, look, if he could go be the O coordinator in Philly, would he do it? I don't know. I mean, we're talking major hypotheticals here. That's his hometown. They might have, but probably if I'm just saying, I can answer it for me. If I'm him, I'm good.
Percent chance they
would sell the house.
No, I'm chilling for a year.
Not a job.
Yeah, I'm not moving anywhere.
Really quickly, percent chance. Everything's the same.
I think very slim. I think very, very slim.
Percent chance.
Because I think the more the special teams fail, the more the pre-snap penalties, the more the offense continues to drown.
And you know what's so sad, Zach, is that like I thought about that. I'm like, oh, that would be so horrible. And then I'm like, well, that's what the Bengals are going to do.
Right? We don't.
Yeah, they're not
The
changing
Bengals have the
nothing.
worst GM in football. He's not even really a GM.
Yeah, it would be scary for the rest of the AFC North if the Bengals made the changes they need to make, and Joe could finally stay healthy for a year.
Like, wouldn't a good coach want to go there to coach him, even though Mike
Sure.
Brown stinks?
Sure, him and T. Higgins and
Right.
Jamar
They ain't got
Chase.
no defense.
Just make the defense
Okay.
average.
Yeah, just make the defense average.
They keep
Average,
missing.
that's
They
it.
missing on picks.
They missed on every defensive player they've taken last year. No, DJ Turner's a good player.
Yeah,
He's good, but that's it.
it's easier to fix a defense in a temporary. than
Yes,
it
that
is.
is.
than
That's
it
right.
is to
Just
do
get a
that
bunch of
offense.
solid guys.
Question for Zach.
Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Zach,
Brian
last year,
Flores.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the Browns viewed Cam Ward as a guy they would have taken at 2 had he been at 2, correct?
Yes, they were. The Browns
Like-
went into
like
the
they
process
were-
thinking they were going to get Cam Ward. Yes.
Okay. So with that in mind, just that, and I'm just speculating here. I'm just trying to, like G said, if you want to put a flow chart of all the decisions, which way it could go, it'd be the most convoluted maze of all time. If they view Mendoza and/or Dante Moore, or any of the quarterbacks in this draft, in the same light they viewed Cam Ward, I can't imagine they'd pass up over them. Correct?
Correct. Like if they're sitting at number 2 and both of those guys are in the draft, then they're taking one of those two
Well,
guys.
they ain't
Yeah.
gonna be the ones making the pick or the decision.
Again, we don't know who's going to be making
Again,
that.
we don't know. We don't know that.
Yeah, right, Mike. So.
That's crazy. You brought up the biggest part. At this point, D. Podesta is gone. So I guess Barry's there, but we don't know if he's coming back. Stefanski there. People is. So is Haslam, like, is he gonna be the dude running the draft? Like is he making that decision? Because if you get
Better
rid,
not be.
I mean, if you get rid of, say, you get rid of the coach and you get rid of the GM, like who's left to make that decision?
Well, this is part of your process now of who do you trust and who do you listen to cultivate that list of who you're going to pursue, and we don't know those answers, you know. And when I've asked around, what do you think is going to happen in Cleveland? You get different answers. People don't know because they're hard to predict. But Garrett, I don't think it's going to be absolutely hands-on with the first pick. But yeah, that is a level of concern of where is the search going to go? What is the goal here? And then, there's hard questions you have to ask in that.
Yeah.
Every candidate, what do you think of Shedeur? What do you think
Yeah.
of this quarterback class? What do you think of this quarterback situation?
Right,
What do you think of our cap situation?
That's enough, because then you have to take it into the consideration, the evaluation of the new income coming coach, and he may say, Mendoza's cool, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I have a higher evaluation on guy X, Y, Z in this.
in the class of 27. Well, we got like 18 days till the Browns season's over and we find out. But tomorrow night, the Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson plays a playoff game on a huge stage. He had a great start to the year. He probably won't enter this draft.
Oklahoma's defense is like.
And then Dante
2 or
Moore
3
plays
in the
two playoff games before the Browns finish their season.
Yeah.
And might sign up for a third if they win them both.
Mendoza plays again.
Mendoza plays again. So
What's funny is, it's not a high bar, but the 3 most talk about quarterbacks in last year's draft were Ward, Shedeur, and Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shuck's been the best.
I don't think he's been better than Jackson Dart, has he?
You don't think so?
I don't think
I'm
so.
about to say, Jackson Dart the best out of them.
Yeah.
They've all flashed
Technically,
in different
Cam
ways.
Ward will be, but
Yeah, I still think the Titans believe in Cam Ward, and the Titans want the
No,
number
I'm
one
not,
pick. So they
I'm
can
not
bet.
saying that Shuck's going to be the best.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think he
Well,
played the best.
I read something a few weeks ago that was
Yeah.
interesting. It said Cam Ward owes Shedeur for, he's getting the spotlight instead of how
Oh,
poorly Cam has
100%.
played. But Cam is always a different cat, like a very unconventional path to there, very unconventional number one pick, but super talented kid, and it was always going to be about the future.
And
And
has
then
he-
they fired his coach 6 weeks in. Like, you
Right.
can't do that. Like,
And
that's
has less talent
so
around
bad.
him than even Shedeur does, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, all his receivers are rookies.
Yeah.
It's rookie tight end. It's 2 rookie wide receivers. It's a bad offensive line. It's a bad defense. They fired the coach 6 weeks in. Like, it's bad. It's bad.